Hey Christian, just going through here, show you what I do to get it ready for their machine control. I use Carlson, so I know you can have the Surface attached to XML and Trimble Business Center, but I'm not familiar with Trimble Business Center. Just played with it a little bit. So I don't know if you attach a TTM, their actual Surface file. I know if you just attach the DXF line work for the 3D faces, it doesn't come in on the XML as a Surface on the machine control that way. So it's probably a 10 or a TTM or DTM file. But what I do in Carlson to create that is I've got your 3D face file open. So I'm just going to Surfaces, Triangulation File Utilities, and then I'm going to select the 3D faces. All right, so it loads it up, and then I'm going to hit next. I'm going to save it as a 10, so basically a Carlson surface. So all right, it's saved, and then I'm going to export that as a XML. So File, Export, Land XML file. It's a new one, so I'm going to do the same name for it. Do select data files. When I add the 10 file I just created off the 3D faces, and continue to export it. Make sure it's in US survey feet, not international feet or anything like that. And then hit export. So now I've got my XML file. They have two different systems. Their oldest system actually uses a 10 file, not XML, so they'll need that 10 file if it's the old redline system they're using from 2013 or 2012. If it's their newer yellow tablets, it'll be the XML file. Also on their line work file, this is good for their old 2012 redline stuff, like a redline GPS, because those collectors didn't have a lot of RAM, so it couldn't handle 3D line work and all. But their new tablets, they really need the lines joined up and all the lines 3D. So right now, probably only the contours are 3D. No, actually, those have been flattened, and all their lines are segmented. In the new system, they can click on one line and they can walk around the whole back of curve, and they'll give them cut, fill, offset the top back of curve, or anything else on the drawing. So what I do with these, do a file, drawing cleanup. This will go ahead and get rid of duplicate line work entities and all kinds of stuff. It'll join up all line work within the tolerance I have set. After it's done, it gives you a report letting you know what it did. Join 342, remove the hatch entities that you're not going to use on the collector, reduce the vertices by what I had set mount to. So now if I go in, I should have fairly continuous polylines. You're going to have that where there's probably structure or something there, but they can go a long way before their line breaks again. So that'll help them out when they're doing their stakeout. So now they're not in 3D, so I'm just going to do surface or 3D data, 2D to 3D polylines by a surface model. And I'm going to pick the surface file, open, select all the entities. No, I don't want to do a vertical offset. I want to add vertice at the grade breaks. I do not want to keep existing polylines. Just going to convert them, and as long as we don't set the layer name, it'll keep the layer names what they are. It'll just recreate the polylines as 3D polylines. You might not have to do this because I imagine your lines were probably 3D and you probably flattened them because a lot of the other data collectors, Trimble, Topcon, all them, a lot of the old ones couldn't handle 3D line work either. So now we should have 3D line work. I know on this job they are using the Icon Rover, so they can do everything in full 3D. So now the only places that are going down to 0 are outside of the surface model area anyway, or something weird going on. But for the most part, this is going to be fine. As long as all the curb and everything is right, stuff are actually going to be staking, not the boundaries and all. So we can close that out. I'm just going to do save as, name it Phoenix line work, and I always save it as a, make sure you don't do the binary DXF, do the ASCII DXF, and I'd just do the 2013 version. Some of the older machine control panels and the older data collectors can't handle the newer formats. Actually, if it's the redline, when I drop it back to the 2010 or earlier, I usually just do 2004. But for this job where they're using the Icon Rover, the 13's fine. So do save, and so now we've got our XML 10 for the old stuff, and the updated line work file. So the other thing that I would include is, so when they're on their dozers, they can actually pick their back of curb as a alignment, and then they can offset that 2 foot or 4 foot, whatever they need for the curb machine to follow. And they'll give them an arrow going back and forth across the top of the screen telling them if the right edge of their blade or left edge of their blade is that far behind the curb, so that way they can go ahead and cut it out and be accurate instead of guessing. So what I do to create that file is do view, isolate layers, go to my back of curb, and then I just do a polywrite command. This is a file that they can where they can just click on the line on the screen and it'll go to it. This also works if you're writing one for Topcon or what have you too. I know they do some similar stuff. We just leave ours in the Carlson's standard format, so you can, if you had to do one of the other ones, you just do capital T for Topcon or what have you. But since we're in parentheses on Carlson, we're good to go there. This is what do you want to call it? So I'll do Phoenix BOC alignment dozer, open, and then don't worry with any of these. It's not going to be that many vertices anyway, so just do OK, and just select all the back of curb. So that's all the files. So for the newer stuff, DXF elevated, XML, and the PLN. For the alignment, older stuff, flattened DXF, 10 file for the surface, and still the same PLN. Thank you, and let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate you.